Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's One People Show. Lisa Harrison here. You know, it doesn't seem to matter what mood, frame of mind, state of health I come to this show in. When that music starts, I feel the collective of this community, the energy start to build. And I start dancing in my seat, and I'm so here. Awesome. How are you, Brian?
Why are you mad, Lisa? Why are you mad? Just let it go.
Mad?
You said I don't care what kind of mood I'm in. Once I hear that song, I feel better. So I'm just wondering, why don't you feel good before the song?
I didn't know I feel bad before it, but I feel better, even better.
It's okay. You don't have to get defensive.
Wow.
Lisa, I'm good, and I'm always good, but today I'm great, and...
it's really echoey.
It's not mine. Bob.
Sorry.
Let's see. I'm just really excited because it's August 26th, and there's so much happening in the world. It's absolutely amazing and fantastic and exciting and awesome all at the same time. And then when you combine that with Bob's awesome walking video of him like cruising down the street with his with his little walk thing, man, that's just the icing on the cake for me. Considering the last one that I saw was the one with me in the chair in Morocco. So all good things all the way around. It's a beautiful day here in San Diego. We don't have Chris, our weatherman, here. Always made note of the weather, but here in San Diego, it's a beautiful day, and I'm just happy to be here as always. Welcome, everyone. Chat room, listening live. Bob, Lisa, it's a pleasure.
What did you take before the show, Brian?
I took 3 Red Bulls. I'm ready to go.
I bet.
Actually, now that Brian mentions it, congratulations, sweetheart, on that walking video. I mean, I knew you were improving all the time and pushing yourself each day and doing your workouts, but just to see it, magic.
Well, thank you. It's still not where I want it to be, but it's where I am.
Well, I think you're doing really well.
Thank you.
And yeah, it has been an interesting week of observations of things becoming visible. You know, we keep hearing energetically it's all done, and we're in this sort of pause as it all starts to become visible. And it is at a rather alarming rate. We've got, supposedly Obama's been held up in one meeting after another with various CEOs of former corporations in the financial industry, even in the military, predominantly the financial industry, though, right, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We're seeing the Vatican, the Pope seems to be very busy writing one apostolic letter after another, or decree, or whatever he wants to call them these days. We've got countries removing themselves from the system, like Hungary. Although I believe they weren't alone, were they? Something going down in another country.
Iceland, Ireland is in the process.
Ireland.
Yeah.
And what did you say? Italy's joining with Kevin and Annette?
Yeah, against the lawsuits against the Queen and the Vatican.
And how many lawsuits are now happening against Obama?
Oh, goodness. Let's say shitload.
That's a very precise and accurate measure.
That is my professional clinical answer. Yes.
That's a technical term. Yeah, so it's like every day, and also things are making it to mainstream news, especially in regards to mortgages and how people are dealing with those mortgages and walking away from mortgages. That's not happening here in Australia. I don't believe, as yet, not that I've heard, that anyone has successfully fought a bank off on a mortgage. If you know of any stories here in Australia, please let me know. And I certainly haven't heard of anything making it to mainstream news in a positive way. But at least in the States it is.
Oh yeah,
I haven't. I was gonna say I
about...
haven't heard from my car company in, let's see, what's August? In 4 months. No calls, no letters. Nada.
Nada.
No, nothing. No correspondence whatsoever. I published. Let's see. Well, most people know about them already. They're not brand new stories. One lady got out of a $99,000 mortgage. Another guy, $36,000. I think it was like a home equity line of credit. They're smart about how they get these things through. They don't publish an official response saying we have had total problems in our legal department proving the legitimacy of these loan documents. Therefore, we're going to forgive your $96,000 mortgage. It doesn't come out that way. It more just comes out like it's like standard operating procedure without much explanation behind it, because they don't want the stories to get out I mean, what if 10 million people decided to challenge their loan company because of the illegitimacy of the note? I mean, so they're smart about how they're doing it, but the stories are leaking like crazy. New York Times is doing some really interesting stuff over the course of the last couple of days, getting involved with the Guardian, partnering up to release information from Snowden, and they did something else too. Oh, they reported about the sovereign movement on the UCC. I put that post out as well. So that's a big sign for me, even that these mainstream media folk are starting to release stories that don't necessarily serve the best interests of their handlers. So there's something going on to that as well.
Well, actually, now that you mention it, you mentioned Snowden, and I was having a think about this the other day. All of the whistleblowers that have come out recently, have any of them had anything positive to say? Or has it all been, because what I've seen is it's all been, these are the dark and evil plans of the cabal. Has anyone come across any whistleblower that's come out and said anything that's not of that nature?
No, but that sounds like an SNL skit, if somebody were to, because it would be so unbelievable. Like if somebody defected from like the presidential party and they talked about how it was all sunshine and rainbows taking place in the Oval Office.
Well, just compare it. No, hang on. I'm thinking compare it to, say, Bill Brockbader, who did come out with information in terms of you babysitting, Bob.
I'm sorry.
Screaming baby.
It's my grandnephew.
Someone who came out and talked about secret projects, but also said it in such a way as, the projects themselves revealed information that the black projects didn't like. It revealed the idea that, there's two timelines, the positive one wins out, we're all going to be okay. Now, Bill's in jail. Then we've got Snowden, he's talking about all kinds of negative plans and agendas. We had, what was that man/woman's name?
You talking about the World Bank lady, Karen Hughes?
No.
That's not a man-woman name. Sorry,
no.
I don't know who you're referring to.
It's someone will know in the chat room, who came out and talked about the kill shot from the sun. There were, and just because we've talked about it on this show before.
Talking about Bradley Manning?
No, not Bradley Manning. This is a new one that came out only recently. And also said that something else was going to happen. No, not Ed Dames, not those remote viewers. This was somebody, no, not Kata Gaia.
That's funny.
Everyone's throwing names out there. Patty, yes, Patty. Patty someone. Now, what we've talked about before on the show is that the cabal, the previous powers that were, the partners in contrast, whatever we're calling them these days, they don't have, because they harvest and use our energy, in order for them to pull off any of their plans, they need our energy to feed into it to pull it off. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
They actually get us to create our own nightmares. So I'm just taking a step back and looking at all of these whistleblowers and seeing the type of information that they're bringing out and going, well, you know what? I mean, if honestly, if there was enough people on this planet who really bought into the idea of a kill shot from the sun, and fed in. We could create something like that. I have no doubt that that collective intent and fear and energy fed into a story like that would send like a magnetic wave to the sun, and the sun would respond. So I'm just looking at these and most of them are safe. As far as I know, they're safe. Bradley's not too safe. He's still in prison, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of the others are in exile somewhere, or they're being protected somewhere. It's just I'm taking a step back from it all and just trying to see it as a bigger and bigger picture. That's all. Especially when I can look at Bill and see where he's at, and he's never been left in peace. And he's the only that I know of who came out with anything positive to say.
Mm. Talking about Brock Rader now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole concept of whistleblowers to me is just fascinating. I mean, that's what really launched me down the rabbit hole, was the whole whistleblower concept. I never even knew what a whistleblower was until 2010-ish, 2009, 2010-ish. So I'm still kind of a baby to this game, but I'd say the energy supports whistleblowers now more than ever, because all these whistleblowers empower each other to step forward. I mean, look what happened at the Citizens Hearing for Disclosure. You got all these whistleblowers who have held these dark secrets from their wives for 40, 50 years that came forward and not only shared their stories, but did so in an open public forum. At the same time that they were telling their wife, they told it, on the stand. And the more of them that come out, the safer each one of them is, because you can take out people one by one, but when you have people coming out in droves, there's a article that American Kabuki put out today. I copied it over because it was so good. It was about the AIG scandal. They're finally breaking this thing down in court, and one of the quotes here is so relevant to this story. Let me just see if I could find it here real quick. This guy, let's see, he said, later when it became clear information would be disclosed, New York Fed legal group staffer James Bergen emailed his colleagues saying, I have to think this train is probably going to leave the station soon, and we need to focus our efforts on explaining the story as best we can. There were too many people involved in the deals, too many counterparties, too many lawyers and advisors, too many people from AIG to keep a determined Congress from the information. I mean, think about the logistically, to pull off some of these maneuvers that they've pulled off throughout history. It takes a lot of people with zipped mouth and lips zipped shut, and to keep that many people quiet is, it's quite the monumental undertaking.
Well, they're running out of money.
to pay people off.
To pay people off, they're running out of money.
Yeah.
I look at them as, the mafia. And when the money runs out, nobody's going to be loyal, because it's all about money. It's all about money with them. So when the money runs out and there's nothing really, a lot of people are tending to talk. And as far as I don't dwell on a lot of whistleblower information. I know that people are coming out with information that is starting to now reach the mainstream, and it's waking people up. And I think sometimes it requires that kind of trigger. In sports, the whistle only gets blown when there's a fault. So the idea of whistleblowers, I think they all play their part. It was, for a lot of people, zeitgeist was the trigger that woke so many people up. And when I look back at that film, they highlight a lot of what's wrong with the system. Now, I'm not sure if it was the first one or second one that they went into the Venus product, but they also, proffed a solution. But
yeah, they waited till the second one.
Yeah, okay. On the second one, they had the Venus project that they were highlighting. But all of these things, I think, are working in concert with each other. And we're really watching, history being made, because it's on every front. Every power structure that exists on Earth today is currently under attack. and people are no longer accepting things. I've been watching, a lot of things in the news about the Australian government being challenged and being brought to court, and
oh, that's funny because I haven't seen anything.
Oh yeah, that lawsuits are being filed against the governments and charges being made, and even though these charges are things may not stick, the fact that they're being talked about is enough.
Well, actually, there were a few people trying to file charges against Gillard while she was Prime Minister due to some fraudulent activity she was involved in some years ago. But she's no longer Prime Minister, so I don't know where that's all at now. Because the objective of that was to get her removed, I believe.
I mean, what's so powerful is when you combine everything. It's all data, right? We've talked about it before. It's all data, and when you put all of the data together, it's impossible to keep up with even the alternative media sites anymore. I remember a day where I was like glued to trying to find out everything that was going on as much as possible. I was in and out of Rumor Mill News and RT.com and Before It's News and all these other YouTube and Project Camelot and all over the board. And it was like I finally started going crazy because it was way too much information. I mean, I still share. I have to kind of spot check and for what I'm going to share on my blog, but there's so much information out there. It's absolutely crazy. There's such a market for truth. There's such a big market for truth. It spans the globe 1,000 times over. Like I added this little map feature on my blog a couple weeks ago, and just in the last few weeks, there's like 180 countries from around the world that have visited just my little measly little blog, because it represents a site where I put out information about things that don't get covered on the mainstream media, and to have people from literally every continent other than Antarctica and all those countries reaching out because they want to know what's going on in the world outside of what they're being told by their teachers, by their peers, by their family, by mainstream media, because it's breaking into every single subculture, because energetically it's seeping in and people are feeling that there's something that's not right, or there's something that's going on, and they're being pulled to look for it, because it doesn't even matter if they're what their triggers are. Everybody has a different trigger, but the triggers are popping, like Bob said in a recent interview, like popcorn. Bing, 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 and people are starting to go, holy crap, what's going on here? And wow, boy, it's the time to do it, because there's more going on now than there. It's unprecedented on so many.
Well, in the last month, how many people have had conversations about this stuff with people who you never thought you'd be having a conversation with about this stuff? I'm getting friends now who were your average typical sheeple, believed everything, and now all of a sudden, did you know that the government and the banks and blah blah blah? I was like, yeah, I know. But
we've actually got a lot of callers already, straight up, which we should probably get to, because we never end up getting to all of them. But before we bring them out, I just wanted to say, as at 4:00 my time, which is about 6.5 hours ago, American Kabuki Bill had scheduled to do an interview with Caleb and I believe Heather and Dee. So I haven't had confirmation from Bill that went ahead. It was 4:00 in the morning for me, so I was asleep. But if it did go ahead, I'm sure it'll be up on Bill's site in the next 24 hours, so keep your eyes on that. We'll share it as well, obviously. And you'll hear the content at the same time we do. So I have no idea what was being discussed, other than, I believe, the iPhone app for Project 13 and potentially the desktop app are either out or it was happening in the next 24 to 48 hours. So once those are out, we know that Project 13 will kind of explode, because at the moment it's only been available on the Windows phone app. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled on American Kabuki. To see if that interview.
Who's got a Windows phone? Bob, you got a Windows phone?
Didn't even know a Windows phone existed before Caleb.
Me either.
Like what? Windows phone? All right, I'm just kidding, Caleb. I love you. I get it. It's tough. I understand. Right. Actually, I don't. But I still love you. Nonetheless. Keep kicking butt. It's gonna be available on all phones sooner or later. Bring it on. Bring on the iPhone, for crying out loud. Everybody's got an iPhone. You got an iPhone, Bob? No, I don't think you have an iPhone. I have an iPhone.
No, I don't. I have an Android.
Anyway. Yeah, well, that'll be the last one to hit the market. Yeah. All right, let's bring these callers out. We've got area code 707.
Oh, that's Sonoma County.
707?
Yes, hi.
Hey, secret agent 707.
707. It's
how you
Allison.
doing? Yes, how are you doing?
Fabulous.
Yes.
I'm great. 2 weeks in a row. Wow, I can't believe it after trying for months. I think that says a lot about... Pardon me?
Well, we're starting to take the calls early today, so we can try and get to everyone.
That's great. That's great. You know, I just wanted to share that things are manifesting in my life so quickly. It's just, I have to be really, really careful about my thoughts. It's just amazing how fast things are happening. The veils are thinning. I went to an event this past Saturday. It was held here in Northern California in the hills, and it was the Dance Brigade. They came up from San Francisco, and they put on an event in an area where you'd never seen anything like this before, on a waterway, Eel River front, and it was the most magical thing I've seen ever in my life. There were stilt walkers that were running up and down hills. They were dancing. There was drumming. It was magical. I had to pinch myself a couple of times because I kept seeing little nymphs in the woods and thinking, God, did somebody slip me some LSD or something? It was just magical. It was a lot of fun.
Charlton, where was that in Sonoma County?
I want to see nymphs in the woods.
It was Mendocino County, and it was in a little bird called Dos Rios.
Ah, got it. Okay.
Northeast of Willits. So it was amazing. But I just wanted to say that I love the conversation. Yes, things are happening big time. It's so exciting. And I can really relate to what you were saying, Brian, about how much information's out there and how at one point you were just like couldn't get enough information. And I've had to back off myself and just trust that energetically from my full potential self, I'm going to get the information that I need. And it's just been happening that way. So spending less time searching, and it just all comes. The information just shows up. So it's exciting.
Yeah, you almost have to surrender to that because it's just so much out there, and that's how it tells, and that's exactly how it is with me too. I trust the universe will provide me all the messages that I need, and it does. Because you could spend 26 hours a day reading every article and watching every YouTube video, and you will still fall short on everything that's put out. And you'll also get a nice big bite full of baloney on a lot of fronts because there's a lot of that out there you got to sift through as well. But seems like the right messages at the right time always seem to come through, and you trust that they will.
Well, I think you call it your BS meter, but yeah, it's the discernment is so important right now to be able to see what's real and what isn't real. And I love the blog post about I'm no longer a light worker. What a fabulous blog post. Oh my God, it just nailed everything. It's just perfect. So true.
Yeah. We were thinking about talking about that tonight because there's a lot of feedback.
Sounds like now's a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Taliesin, and thank you for calling. You obviously figured out the logarithm of getting into the calls, considering 2 weeks in a row after all these months. So we love the contribution that you had for the last 2 weeks. So keep them coming, my man.
Yeah.
A couple comments about. Do you have anything else that you want to say? Because I want to go down the road. Because I was putting up a whole other post about the whole lightworker thing. But did you have anything else that you wanted to add or ask before we start to bring up that dialogue, or do you want to just hang out and have the conversation with us?
I'll be happy to hang out, but only one more thing I want to say is congratulations, Bob, on your continued healing and your walking. I've been sending you a lot of love and healing energy, and it's just fabulous to hear the news.
Thanks, Gary.
You're welcome.
Hold on, guys. I'm just plugging in my headset because I haven't charged it in a few days. Here it is. Okay. So I posted based on the amount of hits that it got. Probably every single person that's listening on the call and that's in the chat room has probably had a chance to read it. It was titled "Why I Am No Longer a Lightworker," and this was an article that was sent to me by a woman named Penny. And it was written by a guy named Cameron Day. So I didn't actually write it. I added the preface to it and my comments to it. And I just wanted to. I'm not going to go into a full discourse on what the article talked about because I've shared the link in the chat. People can go to my blog and read it. But it seemed like most of the comments that came through on Facebook and on the blog were 98% positive. It seemed to be, like Taliesin just brought up, the right information that people needed to hear at the right time. And for that, I knew it needed to go out, and that's the reason why I put it out, because I feel like it's a conversation that's long overdue. And a big point that I want to make in this, and this really could be a great discussion here, I know we got a lot of callers, is that I have nothing. If anybody wants to continue to call themselves a light worker, more power to you. It's not so much about the name as it is the intent behind the mission, and I don't judge anyone's mission or anyone's intent. But a message was shared with me, with us a few months ago, and it resonated, and it's why I put out that post, which is when you come across data, whether it's something that's written on a video or something that's said, ask yourself the question, does it promote separation or does it promote unity or oneness? And if it promotes unity and oneness, then I put my name behind it. And if it's a message that promotes separation, then I choose to withdraw my energy from it. And I feel like, I got real sucked into the whole, and no judgment across the board for any channels, for anybody that brings through messages that come from some aspect of their higher selves. I love Bashar. I love Abraham Hicks. There's a few other. I love the stuff that Cryon puts through. I believe those messages, they come from a place of sharing wisdom, and I resonate very highly with a lot of the material that comes out through them. But I got real sucked into the 2012 scenario of all the channels talking about ascended masters, and you raise your vibration to reach ascension, and we're going to come and we're going to save you, we're going to help you, and we're going to bring you up to our level, and we're going to train you, and we're going to put you in light chambers. That's all the stuff that I got sucked into at one point or another, and over time I realized that for me those messages just did not come off as pure. They promoted hierarchy. And when I put out that post, that was at the core of what I wanted to share, which is discernment has always been, and it remains now more than ever, the most important tool that's in our arsenal. That when anything is shared, use your discernment and feel it, and if it feels right, then go with it. If it doesn't, let it go. But I can hear you.
I just had a friend that just recently. He's from California, as a matter of fact, and he came into town. And I haven't talked to him probably in about 12 years, so it was a big catching up moment and everything. And we started talking about politics and everything, and he was like, "Well, did you vote?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Well, then you can't complain." And I was like, "Really? Are you still voting?" I was like, are you really still voting? He's like, why? It's like, it doesn't really matter who you vote for. They're all working for the same bank. Democrat, Republican, and it's just another paradigm, the light workers versus the dark ones, and it's a broader, illusion of the same thing. I like the fact when Heather starts talking about doing things for the highest good of all, including the dark ones and the light ones and all the ones in between. From that perspective, choices are very, very different. You look at things very, very different. You're in a place where you can actually think without being swayed by one way or the other. You can literally choose a neutral stand. And it seems that like everything no longer carries any more. Well, it doesn't carry a charge. Doesn't cause you to get upset. People some of my friends they'll like, did you see this? Have you seen this? This fluoride article? And I've seen it. Yeah, I know. I'm aware. Don't you think something? And they get very, very emotionally charged over it. Well, you'll find that when you're in that neutral spot, you don't get emotionally charged. Not that you're not concerned about what's going on in the world, but you see it from a different perspective as something that is naturally happening. It's part of the process. You look at it and you say, "Oh, I'm glad that triggered you. Great. Okay, leave it alone." Like you don't give energy towards what you don't want, and you select. You're a lot more able to select and choose that which resonates with you because you're not being like a seesaw here and there. I see so many people who get literally overwhelmed with despair. Look at all this. Not only are they fluoridating us, and they're shooting chemtrails on us, and they're planning this, and now I have to worry about GMO foods and vaccinations and this and that and blah, blah, blah. You'll never accomplish anything. You will be a hermit in your home, without even TV because they send out signals through there. It can get ridiculous, trying to right all the ills of the world. There's really only one person that you can absolutely change, and that's yourself. You can help trigger others to start to move down that road, but ultimately only they can change themselves and how and what it is that you choose to give your energy to. I know that a lot of people they get upset. I was upset. I was so angry. I thought about, I can't even tell you how many times I thought about, getting a can of gasoline and just like dumping it on my old church and lighting a match. But then I thought, what would that prove? That would just make me crazy and as bad as they are, then my perspective completely changed. Once you reach that neutral point, you don't see them as bad anymore. You don't see, you see, well, that's, it's like, I use this illustration a lot. If you take a little child, a baby, and they're having a temper tantrum. Have you ever seen a baby have a temper tantrum?
Mm-hmm.
They can't get their candy, they can't have their way, and I've watched little 3-year-olds turn purple in front of my face with screaming and just kicking their feet and throwing a tantrum. Now, that baby is engaging in aberrant, unacceptable, antisocial behavior. But do you hate the baby Do you call the baby evil? Well, maybe sometimes you in general, you don't hate the baby because you understand that it doesn't know any better. It's just a baby. That's where they are. You know, they haven't quite gotten the experience to understand, you know, how to go about getting what they truly want. Well, I look at, you know, everybody who's in various stages of awakening, that's where they are. And it's not their fault that that's where they are. You know, it's not a kindergartner's fault to be in kindergarten. And that is no, you know, I'm not saying that in a condescending way, but everyone is moving through this in their own pace, whatever is comfortable with them. And so it's a matter of cohesion and maintaining that peace, you know, because honestly, as more and more people are beginning to be triggered and waking up and moving along through the rabbit hole like all of us did, they're doing so exponentially faster than any of us who, you know, first wavers who woke up in the 90s, you know. You think it's going to take, a lot of times I hear people with their projections, well, this is going to take so many generations and blah, blah, blah. There is an exponential time factor involved where I'm watching people pop out and they're right where you are. Whereas last week they were, you know, Fox News cronies. This is happening so quickly. You know, it's like something is getting completely turned on and all of a sudden they know. You know, that they're right there with you. So
and I'm also those ones who are awake. Well, I was just noticing that some of the conversations I've had lately with people who are just getting this, they're not going through a lot of those steps. Some of them aren't even going into the place of anger.
No.
Or depression or powerlessness. They're just going, oh, okay, that's how it is. Fair enough. What do we do about it? Well, we can do this, and this. They're skipping some of those steps of mourning or grief that we all went through.
Yeah, I mean this whole world on so many different levels has been set up for the whole divide and conquer strategy. I mean, it's so. I remember seeing an article that actually talked about it, and it listed all the things. It was like, oh my God, I didn't even realize how much all of the systems and structures of the planet are set up to divide people and to get them to find fault and differences in each other's beliefs and race and, you know, backgrounds and politics and positions on various issues and all of those things, drawing lines, and this is your state, this is my state, this is your county, this is my county, this is your city, this is my city, where are you from, what do you do? And it's
mine's
just
better
like,
than yours.
Mine's better than yours. Yeah, I'm right, you're wrong. And this whole right and wrong mentality is one of the biggest pieces of energy that fuels duality. And when we have an emotional response about anything, you know, they say all of life is a mirror to what is inside of us. So all light and dark are merely part of our own internal makeup. We are beings that have lightness and darkness within us. So it's not, neither one is to be judged as right, wrong, good, bad, evil, so on and so forth. If our true goal is to transcend our what's programmed in us to always want to try to pick some side. You know, there is transcending having to pick a side is the biggest thing. I called myself a light worker for a very long time. I would probably more consider myself an ambassador of the light now, as opposed to a light worker. You know, when I come to a crossroad and I have to decide what I want to do.
You are ambassadors of light. You are ambassadors of love.
I'm ambassadors of love. There you go. So when I always, everything that I try, everything that I do in my life, I want to bring love into. I want to fuel everything that I do with love, and doing that, it it's a conscious choice that doesn't require me to pick light or dark or pick some kind of a side. It's transcending all of that. And that's one of the biggest one of the biggest reasons I wanted to put out that post is Cameron Day did a really good job at breaking down some of the most hidden parts of the illusion, and some of that we've been talking about for the last few months. But he just had a really awesome way of kind of putting the whole thing together. One of the things that people didn't resonate with mostly is that his position on channelings. I'll keep looping it back around to Bashar all day long because I love Bashar. I've gotten so much wisdom from his teachings. I've learned so much about myself and the universe through his teachings. It resonates. His messages resonate with me. And so I don't think that what Cameron's intention was to bash every channel, because in some way, on some level, we're all channeling our higher selves. When you have things that you do that where you're ultra creative, or you write a book or you compose a song, or any of these things. So it's not necessarily about the channeling.
All the information that we receive outside of ourselves, whether it comes from channelers, whether it comes from a book you read, or the epic journey of what's his face?
David Wilcock.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter. It's all information. But I'll tell you what, you're going to find that your direct experiences will affect you more powerfully than any story you've heard from someone else. I've heard lots of fantastic stories, of synchronicity and manifestation from lots of different people, and people who I trust and who I believe are credible. But when it happens to you directly, when you're the one who had the thought and seen it happen in front of you, when you had the dream, that manifested the next day, when these types of things start happening to you directly, there is no thing outside of yourself that's going to change your mind about your experience. I go back to that movie, Contact with Jodie Foster, where she drops through that thing and she has this whole 3-hour journey across the cosmos, but everybody on the outside that wasn't in that capsule just saw her drop.
Mm-hmm.
And as she's trying to describe her experience, everybody's looking at her like, all right, she's lost it, really?
It's actually 18 hours of static.
Yeah.
18.
But what in the end, all she says, like, I have to admit, maybe I am crazy. Maybe, but I cannot deny my experience. Something happened to me, and I'll never be the same. I'll never be the same for it. So I
feel like you're talking directly to me, Bob.
Lisa just said we're ranting, by the way, Bob.
Well, no, I think it's really important for people to really start to listen to the voice that's coming from inside of them. Really start to pay attention to their own direct experience. Really start to pay attention to those feelings, those itchings in the back of your head. Start paying attention to that inner dialogue, what's going on. Whether, you feel that you are in the space that you choose to be or not, you're only going to have your own perception and your own experience to determine what is actually true for you. So it's really important to start to take responsibility, to really start to take responsibility for your experience. A lot of people, I'm a very compassionate person, and I have deep feeling for people who are suffering, and some types of suffering, you need support. You need that hand. You need that smile. You need that reassurance. And so, by all means, show compassion. show, help to people who are in those states of suffering and pain. But by that same token, understand that you cannot fix them, you cannot save them, you cannot transform them with your good wishes or your compassion. You can create a space for them to do it on their own, but it is not your job to fix their problems. It is not your job to save them from the clutches of their own creation. You can point things out, and you can be a guide, and you can create a space, a safe, and nurturing space for them to do that on their own, but everyone has to do this and take responsibility for their own choices and their own decisions and their own truths. So,
if I could get a word in between you.
Sorry.
Hold on. I got 5 more minutes.
If I can.
Please, Taliesin, go ahead.
It's so funny. All of us are mirrors of each other right now. I'm sitting here in the thoughts, and you guys are speaking my thoughts as they're coming up. It's just amazing. But I wanted to respond, number one, to what Lisa was saying, is why some people are not having the challenges and the experiences that some of us had on our journey. And that's because we're the scouts. We're the ones that went out and cleared the path ahead and looked for the potholes in the road, and we put flags on them for people so that they could see them. And that's why they're not struggling, because it's already been done. All of the information, when you're talking about channels, everything, in my opinion, I use the term galactic library. Every thought, everything that anybody's ever done, said, thought, imagined is stored in the galactic library. And all of us have that library card. And so we can access that information, and it comes to us. And that, I believe, is the term that people say, well, I'm a channel. Well, we all are. We all are. It's just a matter of whether you're tuned to that frequency and you're listening. I've been teaching compassionate communication for years. And one of the things, I have a lot of tools in that box, but one of the things is that right now, and this is something that in the class, is that right now, moving from pain, fear, love, when we come into our heart space and we come from a place of love, like Bob is saying, it changes everything. And when we model that, it changes, because, yes, when you're empathetic and you feel the pain that someone's going through, it can be overwhelming when your heart is open. But when you can feel it and give them that compassion and love and acceptance, when you have the willingness, the curiosity to accept where people are at and understand, reassure them and appreciate them for the gifts that they have, as opposed to being resistant, making them wrong, judging them, making them guilty, blaming them, criticizing. It's moving from pain and fear to love, and that's where we're at right now. One more, and you're right, Brian, about dark and light. It's within us. From a medical Chinese standpoint of view, the yin and the it's dark and light, and you have to have it for balance. Otherwise, you're out of balance. Go ahead, Bob.
What you said reminded me of an experiment that was done where they took two groups of people and they had this a crossword puzzle, and it was one of these advanced crossword puzzles that people who do crossword puzzles would have a hard time with. And they had one group go through this crossword puzzle, and they measured, what their accuracy was. Then they took another group, right, of the same crossword puzzle that had been already solved. The answers had already been published, even though this group had never seen them. And the second group, it increased, their accuracy increased by like 40%, because it had already been solved somewhere. And the fact that it had already been solved somewhere, their scores automatically jump up like by 40%. That's a significant figure, And anything that has been already, traversed, any road that's already been traversed, anyone who comes out back after is going to have that much more ease in traveling that road, and the one who comes after that even more so. And the one to the point, like we talk about this 100th monkey effect, to the point where it just becomes common knowledge. It's just, that's how it happens. It just happens. And people
Can I say something now?
Yes. I'm sorry, Lisa. It is your show.
No, it's not. It's our show. I just wanted to give a couple of updates because there's somebody in the chat room who's continually asking for something from Heather. And all I'm going to give them is the very last thing Heather said to me in the last 24 hours, which is there are events being done in the order continuum. If you pay energy into within, you are conscious of what is being done. So yes, okay, typical Heather speak, I get that, but that's what she said. There are events being done in the order continuum. If you pay energy into going within, you are conscious of what is being done. And that perfectly reflects what these guys have just been saying. If you go within, the information's there. Pull it out of the library. And I'm not saying that in some kind of condescending way at all. I'm just saying that we all do. I absolutely agree that we all have access to all there is.
Well, you know what? I think the problem a lot of people have is they're not used to trusting themselves. There's a lack of trust in your own senses.
Well, I'm still going through that myself.
Well, I mean, a lot of times people will tell you, well, you're wrong. That's not the way it happens. It's this way, that way. But if that's not your experience, who's to tell? One of the things that this whole process has done for me is to challenge anyone who's going to tell me what my experience should or should not be. I'm going to challenge it. Who are you to tell me what my experience is or what it should be?
I like Bob's accent that comes out when he's like challenging what someone has to say to him. He gets a little British there. I like it.
The other thing I wanted to just share with everyone is an update that I just received on the interview that was done. So apparently not happy with the way it went, and they're going to redo it. And it's predominantly with Caleb around Project 13. There'll be a video, a walkthrough showing everybody how to use this thing. So it's going to be redone. So you can. I wouldn't say don't go to American Kabuki's blog. Always go to American Kabuki's blog for updates, but that probably won't be out in the next 24 hours. So that's that one. What else? What are you doing? Who's making noise?
It's not me. That's Bob.
That's not me.
Oh,
Allison?
maybe it's Charlton. Charlton.
It might have been
All right,
me. I'm going to be quiet.
Okay. Leave your mic open, Dylan, but we'll keep going and try and get through some of these callers. We've got area code 336.
Hello?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
There's Andy. He's alive.
Randy!
It's me.
Me. You must be so excited. You'll meet up this weekend, yeah?
Oh, wow. I can't tell you how excited I am and to just, imagine everybody getting together, what's going to come out of it.
Well, I know that the people who attended the one the other week here at Lake Conjola down in New South Wales had a wonderful time. So I'm sure yours will be amazing because there are so many people who have put so much energy into making this weekend something beautiful that it will be.
That's right. I just wanted to add something to what you guys were talking about, and it's something that's really just imagine you've got this big box, and on the outside it says it's a puzzle, and there's 7 billion pieces in this puzzle. And once you put all the pieces together, then you got the picture. Well, we're all a piece of the puzzle. And that's where the oneness comes in for me, is you got to realize You can't, because you don't know where that piece fits, you don't know where to label it or judge it. And I think it's important that we all start just feeling the oneness.
That's funny you said that right now, Randy, because Bobby just sent me a message on Facebook. He said, when you look at another and see no difference at all, there's no need for harmony from oneness, meaning there is only one of us here. Excellent point, Bobby. I love little bursts of Bobby wisdom come through on my Facebook when we're on these calls. Keep them coming, my man. Randy, you just been super busy preparing? We haven't heard from you in a couple of weeks. How's everything?
Yeah, I have been super busy. It's crazy what I've been doing, but I've been people begging me to work, and I've just been working my butt off trying to get stuff done. And I told Linda, I talked to her before the show, and I said I had to take the day off because there are things I had to get done today. And then we got so much coming up for the weekend, so I'm excited. I hope everybody is as excited as I am.
How many are you expecting?
Well, Linda and I were talking before the show. We don't really know. We're thinking somewhere around 35-ish. And that's one thing. If some of the people could let us know for sure they're coming so we can kind of plan things around that, because I'm planning a bonfire for Sunday night. And I just want to make sure I got room for everybody.
Well, can you give everybody a big hug from me? And I'm going to ask everybody who's going to give you a big hug from me. So.
I can't wait for that hug. I should say those
Me
hugs.
too, Randy.
I love you guys.
Love you too, man.
I have to come to America and do a hug tour. I want to hug everybody over there.
What's the hugging saint? Mama? No. She's hugged like 10 million people. Somebody will know in the chat room. She's awesome. The hugging saint.
Oh, yes, I have heard of her.
Can't remember. There's a documentary about her. Amma, there you go. Thanks, Judy. People wait in line for 5 hours to hug Amma. I want to hug Amma. That could be you, Lisa. Come on over here in America. It's fun.
Yeah, I'll catch a ride in Judy's camper van, whatever it is she's going to be driving around the country in.
The Enjoy Tour?
Yeah, the Enjoy Tour. Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you, Randy. And please make sure you ring in next week and let us know how it all went.
I sure will. And we'll do our best to take pictures so everybody can kind of see what happened.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, lovely. Excellent. Well, thanks, sweetheart. It was a great time.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we have area code 575. And to everybody who's asking, yes, Randy in Australia means sexually excited. Another word for that would be horny. We also use horny. So that's why I call him Randy. Okay. Area code 575.
Hi.
Hey, hi.
Am I on? My name is Mono. And I've hi, Lisa. I've been listening to your shows, and I just, these questions keep coming up as I see the shows. But I first of all want to say that I watched that thing about that program, channeling or what, not channeling, about not seeing oneself as a light worker. And I think what she's really saying, in my opinion, is that you just have to be in our own knowing. And you know, there may be Metatron, and usually I ignore all these names, and I just take whatever is useful to me, that comes to me. But another thing I want to ask you guys is, you know, Occupy is having a bank. Did you guys know it? And I just thought maybe it would be a good way to get together. And Occupy also, I was listening to how they were trying to resolve mortgage payments. And I think Bob's whatever it with his bank. Maybe that could help people who are like kind of ignorant, like myself. And I'm not into.
Not since I've been here. Nope.
What? I am ignorant. I really am, and meaning ignorant in that I'm not putting myself down for it. It's just I just think that is it possible to reach those groups who are still fighting these things? I mean, is it possible to gain clarity? And then another thing I just wanted to say was that I was listening to Carrie Cassidy, was that lady Karen Hughes or whatever her name is,
Hughes.
Who was with the World Bank, and I like the fact that she ended that. Did you know that we are the value? She ended with that question.
She did.
Did you know that we are the value? That we the people are the value. I had a bunch of several issues, but I just wondered if it was important for you guys to address that right now, or is it just to say, is there a possibility to get to those people who are still struggling in the system, in the mortgage thing, and also with the Occupy Bank? I don't know what that's all about, but I know Occupy has a bank.
I don't know what that's about either, so I really can't comment on anything Occupy is doing in regards to a bank. First I've heard of it.
Yeah. But anyway, these are just questions I'm throwing out. And I really appreciate the way you're going about seeking solutions, from the highest level. And I really thank you all.
I'm fascinated to hear that Karen actually made that comment, that we are the value, and that
whatever her name is. No, she didn't say that. Somebody asked her, "Did you know that we are the value?" And then she said, I don't know if she understood it, but what she was saying, she said, "Of course, we are." But I didn't know if she really understood. But she's working in that direction. Whether people understand what they're doing or not, we don't. Like, for instance, with me, I was, saying these affirmations that I am word to acknowledging my divine self, and then all these images came up of situations that said no, and then, but I did remember, you're to release these. You're to release these images, and I just breathed it out. Like, you're not your divine self. You're this da 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 da. And anyway, I don't want to keep, but I think that's what those issues are. Issues we're really all having a time with. And as soon as we recognize that these are issues that you're not divine, whatever the message is saying, it's coming up. Just to let go, and it has to come up to let go in this in this duality. And I hope I'm then helpful.
Yes, thank you for your input.
Thank you for being there.
You're welcome, and thank you for being there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. There's this, I don't know why it came to mind, but the ZAP report, the recent one. In regards to the NASDAQ going down, and the RV. Theory.
You use the R word.
Use the R word. There's
recreational vehicle?
Yeah. in terms of what's been done energetically, that, as I said at the opening of the show, we're in this pause phase as everything is starting to become visible. And from what I understand, there are still two doings, I guess you could call them, on behalf of the system to become visible. And one would be this new financial system that they want to bring out, or the RV and prosperity packages and all of that, and how that rolls out, if it rolls out, how it collapses, how it becomes visible. And the other thing would be for what we've started to term the divines exposing themselves or making themselves visible. And September 1st, again, and we're only a couple of days away, is D-Day, from what we understand. I've lost count of how many times we've been given the date for the RV over the last 8 months. I don't have enough fingers and toes. So between now and yeah, sorry, go.
I was going to say the whole 24-48 hour thing has become somewhat comical. I feel the people I feel the worst for are and I really don't feel bad for them at all, but I'm just saying, are the people that are really heavily invested in those currencies. To have to hear the whole 24-48 hour thing on so many occasions over the course of God only knows how long. It's interesting you bring this up. Oh,
what an emotional roller coaster they've been on.
Oh, yeah. Think, oh my gosh, if it happens, I'm instantly going to be a millionaire. Thinking in terms of old value systems and monetary value systems and whatnot. But I did two things this week that I don't usually do. And you just bringing this up made me realize that I did those two things, which I don't normally do. And those two things were read the Zap report and listen to Neil Keenan's update. And I know, don't throw me up against the wall and beat me up or anything like that, but I did both of those things this week. And now that you brought that up, I'm sitting here and I'm wondering why. And the funny thing is that, anytime you have something happen like, how did I get out? That's what I'm getting to. Okay. Anytime anything happens in this country or in the world, like the NASDAQ thing, the story in itself, because of the lack of explanation, opens it up to be manipulated and a story created because no official, even when there is an official report, but the official report on this one is they don't know what happened. And it was computer error and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Zap, for anybody that didn't read the Zap report, said that it was the RV trying to go through, and the reason that it didn't is because the computers aren't programmed to factor in such large increases in currency by an excess of thousands of percents in one movement. And I could see the logic in that. Because it's unprecedented to have currencies fluctuate by that large of margins. You just don't really see it. But we were talking about it before this show. It kind of sounds like the whole Y2K phenomenon. The systems weren't programmed to, have the date in 4 digits, and it was going to the whole world was going to explode. But there's a correlation between the Zap report and what Neil Keenan had to say. And Neil Keenan, for anybody who watched that video, he talked about some comments that Christine Lagarde has made recently in regards to the reset of the financial system. And, the dialogue that we've been having over the course of the last, few months, we've really kind of gone into detail on a few occasions talking about the revaluation or some new currency or some global reset being the last-ditch effort by the same drunk girl in a different party dress to manipulate things back into their favor, and it represents those individuals that are controlling it all unveiling themselves and the nefarious things that they've been up to, and that kind of marks the D-Day, like you referred to it. So to me, it's all just very interesting. I mean, I approach this just like what Callison and Mono were talking about with the whole channeling thing, is it's all just data. I mean, it's fun to speculate. It's really fun to speculate, but I don't think, I mean, anybody that tries to say, I know this is exactly what's going to happen, I usually run the other way, because there's so much speculation going on about what's going to happen in the currency market, even in mainstream media, and what's going to happen in the financial revaluation market, that the truth has not come out exactly to how that's going to roll out. But I feel like everybody on the planet and beyond has front row seats to all the action. And considering it's 26th of August and September 1st is right around the corner, I mean, I've seen so much come across my desk by way of data of arrows and fingers pointing at September 1st for a multitude of different things at this point. The apostolic letter being probably at the top of the list, but so many other things as well. So, oh man, who knows what's going to happen? But the reason why I brought up this story is because there's some extreme correlation between the two. And Zap seems to believe that the RV, oh God, I feel stupid even saying this, the RV will go on or before September 1st. That's the speculation per Zap and Poof and company. Somebody, my buddy Alexander said, isn't it fishy that all of these characters that come out of the Poofness camp are named with names that come from comic books, that in names in little bubbles? Poof, Zap, Bam, wow.
I never thought of it like that, but yes, now that you mention it, it's quite funny.
So anyways, yeah, that's my rant on that. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's fun to watch. How about you, Bob? What do you think?
You know, I really don't care. Sorry.
Well, speaking energetically for a moment, there was one. I was aware of some somewhat powerful female energy workers who, in the 24 hours before the NASDAQ went down, they did an experiment talking about, they did an experiment talking to the consciousness of the financial system. And they said, thank you, job well done, time to go home. And then within 24 hours, the NASDAQ went down. And so, you know, make of that what you will. Also, energetically, for those people who can read it and sort of forecast it, apparently September looks very, very different to where we are now, energetically. Whereas normally what I've heard, the feedback I've heard from these people is that what you see is an expansion or, you know, a movement of direction, that kind of thing, whereas this just looks different. It's changed. So I'm excited to see what September brings. Starting on the 1st.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I do care, unlike Bob's total lack of caring. But I see where you're coming from, Bob. I see where you're coming from, because it really doesn't matter.
Exactly.
John Whitmore, I'm not holding back. That's all I have, is that it looks different.
Well, you know, one of the things that Heather said right from the beginning is the enforcement is already there. It just hasn't become visible yet. Well, if it's not become visible, I mean, it's visible now. You can see it. You can see the enforcement happening on every level, on every front, in every structure. It's deconstructing itself. And you know, I'm not really good with patience, but I'm learning. I'm learning. Just watching it, you know, just watching it from the outside. I'm in a space where I really, you know, I'm not where exactly what I want to be, but I'm not in any danger, and I'm comfortable, and I have all my needs taken care of. I'm just waiting for the dust to clear, you know, because the building is obviously already falling. You know, it's crumbling, and once, you know, I'm ready to start, you know, the cleanup, you know, because it's already done. It's already collapsed. You can see what's happening. They're running out of steam. You know, like people say when someone's about to die, they hear that death rattle. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can.
And that's what I see. That's what I think is happening. People are talking about the financial collapse as something as not a speculation. It's not a conspiracy. It's just a matter of when. Everyone says that. All the people who even on the inside of the financial system are saying that it's going to collapse, and of course they're looking at it in a negative way, but I'm saying let it happen, let it go.
There was something that went through my head that I really wanted to share, and now it's gone. I hate it when that happens. Maybe it'll come back to me.
Have fun spending the next 20 minutes trying to figure out what it was.
What did you start that little response with, Bob? It's not that I don't.
What was that?
Anyway. It's something you said initially that triggered something for me, some information to share, and now it's gone.
I don't remember.
No, all right.
Ryan?
It'll come back to me, possibly.
Sorry, I was multitasking. I don't know what you guys are talking about right now.
Please leave a message. Brian's not here right now.
Honesty. That's honesty in its rawest form.
Okay. Let's move on with the next caller. Area code 661. Area code 661?
Oh, yeah, I was talking about enforcement. That's what it was, Lisa.
Oh, yeah, well, that's with this Vatican coming into it, the Vatican thing coming into effect. Brian, can you either...
I'm sorry, I'm not typing.
You are typing.
I know, I'm lying. That was me. Sorry, everybody. Go ahead.
Well, we've seen, including the trial that was back 2011, maybe, or very beginning of 2012, that Alfred Weber was involved in, and they found Bush, Blair, and...
Oh, yeah, from Malaysia, that tribunal that met. Mm-hmm.
They found them guilty. And, all the Kevin Annett stuff, finding people guilty, and the people's courts that have been re-established in various parts of the world that are finding...
Michael Tellinger down in South Africa.
There's been no enforcement. And these people are still in their jobs. They're, still roaming the streets. So with this Vatican thing coming into effect on the 1st, it may well give all of these cases the enforcement that they were looking for. And the simple fact, as you made this comment earlier before we went live, the simple fact that the Vatican can revoke immunity, can revoke protection, means it was there to start with. Yep. And it's why these things have never had any enforcement, I would imagine.
Well, I'm looking at the way things are unfolding, and I would really hate to be one of those people in that position right now, because they can't feel safe. They can't be feeling safe right now. Got to be feeling really, really uncomfortable, because everybody from every front all around them is becoming awake. The conversations are changing so much. I just saw a post somebody posted on my Facebook about someone who tried to deposit $250 million of his value, I think, in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And the letter he got back was, dear so-and-so, we received your item dated, whatever it was dated, please, we are the law team for the bank that you in question. Please do not refer to any one of our clients, but only to us regarding this matter. In bold,
Really?
We are looking into the matter and will respond back to you shortly. This type of response is very, very different. It's immediately telling, don't talk to anyone else about this. Don't talk to our clients, especially. Don't involve anyone in the bank. Let us take care of it. We'll look into it and get back to you. It wasn't about, oh, you're crazy. This is, people are beginning, as they're asserting themselves, and more people are doing it. It's changing the game. It's changing the paradigm. It's really, really changing the way that they're perceiving us, because the way that we've perceived them has changed.
I don't think there's a lot of people that don't understand the impact still for what it does to the system when so many people start to follow the same trend. I mean, use this as an illustration. All right, so you have a guy who's on the freeway. He's going 105 miles an hour. The highway patrol is going to snag that guy, and he's going to give him a ticket, maybe impound his car, possibly throw him in jail. But if everybody went out and got in their car and went outside and started driving 105 miles an hour, what would the system do to make people stop? Is there enough enforcement on their end to give everybody a speeding ticket? Do they have the ability and the resources to handle every single one of those people driving 105 miles an hour on the freeway? No, absolutely not, because these systems are designed to only undergo a certain amount of resistance. Once the amount of that resistance, once the threshold is crossed, the system collapses. Period.
You know what I find funny, Bri? Watching a lot of these government officials and bankers go into these news conferences, sweating bullets, because the questions that are coming from the audience are so, poignant and so direct now, and you know that they don't have an answer, to these questions, and they're just going to. But mainstream media is now starting to ask these questions. Well, what's going on with all that money that you lent, and where is what about the information that just came forth from the Federal Reserve? About all the banks that they actually bailed out. They all went to foreign banks, and people are in the mainstream now asking these hard questions, and there's no dodging the issue anymore. People are really getting aware. They're awake.
Actually, just in regards to your own endeavors, previous to you depositing your declaration of value, was it last year or beginning of this year, you dealt with a different bank in order to try and purchase a vehicle?
Yes.
Now, that didn't go ahead either, because that was it right at the end of last year, because they said they'd no longer have access to, basically what they said was they no longer have access to your strawman account, right?
Right, exactly.
Now, what you've just done again is going to that same bank to do a deposit for a property.
Yes.
Now, this bank was very, very helpful and very, very nice with you last year when you tried to buy the car.
After I got through all the clerks, and I got through the bank manager, and I was up with speaking with the vice president. The vice president actually called me back because they were going. I was on a phone call with one of the underlings, and I knew the call was being recorded, and they told me we can't do this, and I was like, look, I'm not asking you, I'm ordering you. I said, this is you are the trustee, I'm the beneficiary and the grantor. This is an entitlement order. Well, the next day they called back and apologized.
Oh,
We're
wow.
so sorry. We didn't realize what you were doing. We understand what you're doing right now. And you're the grantor, you're the beneficiary, you can't be levied. This is one of your expenses. And they went and they processed it. They actually put it through. But when they got to the Federal Reserve, they had no longer access to that strawman account, to my collateral account. Well, I went back to that same bank, with a deposit of value, and they says, we are willing to work with you. They said, and I says, you understand this is for a lot more money. It doesn't matter. It's okay. So we're waiting to hear from them.
Wow, well done.
So
that's exciting.
The conversation's changing. People are becoming aware, and they really have no place to go. There's no argument that they can make. You know, when you understand the true mechanism of how the system was structured, their assumptions that they're making, and how money really works and what it's backed on, they can't argue with you. The only thing that they can do is break the law, right, and bring it to their attention. You know you're breaking the law. You know it, and I know it now, so is everybody else going to know it.
Just like that whistleblower banker that they interviewed in the bar that you sent over, Bob, that I published on the blog, where he said, of course we have to accept promissory notes, but we're not going to. And he goes, well, what are you going to do in a situation where somebody tries to come in and cash their promissory note and take cash out? He goes, well, I guess I'm going to break the law then, aren't I? That's exactly what they do.
Yep.
So.
I'm changing the subject again because I know I'm not very focused today. I seem to be jumping from one thing to another.
Oh, but just a reminder, because I don't want to type because I'll get scolded. But you want to talk about the Thursday deal before the end of the show. I'm assuming that's on your agenda. So just a reminder, everybody.
Yes, that's one of the things I was going to mention. Firstly, we did hear from Randy about his meetup this weekend. If you can't get to Randy's, but you can get to Montana, Whitney, Patrick, and Katie have organised one in Montana. So where's the information on that, Brian? It got sent to you, didn't it?
Yeah, I just realized I did get sent something on Facebook. I have to post it on my blog. Let me see if I can find it here real quick, and I'll read it out loud. I believe it was from Whitney. They're in the queue right now, Ambiflex said earlier.
What's the area code, do you know?
Shoot, how many people do we have in the queue? Lots?
No, actually there's only... Oh, well, I'll try 805. Let me try that one.
Okay. Here's Whitney's. Got it. I can read it.
805, is that you, Whitney?
No, it's not. It's Mitch.
Oh,
hey,
Mitch.
Hey, what's
How
up,
you
guys?
Doing? Can you just hold your thoughts?
Yeah.
Hold
hey,
your
Mitch,
thoughts.
let me read this real quick. All right, so this is for Whitney and Patrick and
Katie.
Who's this? Katie, yeah. Sorry, Katie. For their meetup group in Montana Labor Day weekend. So this is what she sent me. She said, Northwest U.S. TOP Labor Day camping meetup in Montana. Friday, September 6th to Tuesday, September 10th in the Hot Springs in Montana. Hello, TOP family. We are excited to invite you to camp with us over Labor Day weekend in Hot Springs, Montana. Come join us for juicy conversations. The agenda is fluid, and we welcome your ideas on group activities from meditations to float trips to co-create a fantastic time together. Whatever we intend to do, the most important thing is to be together and co-create a reality, and this Hot Springs is a powerful energy vortex with wonderful healing waters. Theme of the event is Love is the Catalyst. Bring your passion and exuberance, musical instruments, crystals, drums, etc. for singing around the fire under a star-filled sky. Whitney will be setting up karaoke. Oh no. and massage tables for healing work. Children are absolutely welcome with the knowing that there will be adult activities going on. Hats off to the property owner for making the meetup easy on us to put together. She normally charges $12 a night for a full RV hookup and $10 for tent camping. However, for us, she is making it donation-based so that money would not be a deterrent for those of us on a shoestring. There are 10 RV spots, tons of area for tent camping, one hotel with a queen-size bed and a fifth wheel people can stay in as well. The idea is for us to bring our own food and beverages. However, the meals might turn potluck style. Another cool thing is that the bathhouse has 6 plunge rooms for total privacy, so you'll be able to soak and meditate alone or together at any hour. It is also located, that sounds kinky, it is also located out of town so we can have our privacy. If you would like to come or would like more information, please email Katie at, here's the email, it's we'realreadyhomenow@gmail.com, but it's spelled where, W-E-A-R, so Katie might have to verify if this is how it's spelled, but it's W-E-A-R.
No, it is we are.
Oh, we are. Well, I'm a moron. We are already home now at gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Wow. With your phone number and we will call you with location and details. Canada is very close as well. We can't wait to meet you all. Love, Whitney, Katie, and Patrick. Sorry for the butchering there. Sounds like fun. Montana, Hot Springs, awesome.
Okay, the other announcement to make is that, as discussed last week, about all of us getting together and doing meditation. So that is scheduled for next Saturday, my time, next Friday evening for those in America, probably the middle of the night for those in Europe, right after the Remembering Show. So the Remembering Show starts the same time as all the others, whatever time that is in your time zone, and it only goes for an hour, and then we're straight into our meditation event. So please, this will be a network-wide, so all the shows will be talking about it this week just to try and spread the word. I think Brian's going to put up a blog post about it. I have put up a link and some information on the 5D Media Network Facebook page, so if you could please go in there and share it. Let's get as many people on board as possible. And we're taking... Oh, am I dropping out, or is it someone else?
No, you're fine. I just
muted. I just muted some typing.
One of the key words that came out last week on the show was relaxing into it. And it's also along the lines of the theme that we've been talking about today and last week, was that, it's not this is my personal belief, that it's not about us raising our vibration to match anything or trying to become something we're not already, but about relaxing into who and what we truly are. And by doing so, our internal absolute tech gets switched on. Our access to that library we talked about earlier becomes a hell of a lot easier. So, to some degree, we don't know what it's going to look like yet. Bob and I have to go over it. But it's about relaxing into it and allowing the events to become visible to us. So please share the information. Let's try and get as many people on board. We know it only takes, what is it? The square root of 1% or something to make a difference.
Yeah.
And let's do this thing. 8.
Takes 8 people. That's it.
It's 8 people. 8,000 people. 8,000 people out of 8 billion meditating changes the consciousness.
Shit.
Well, there you go.
Anyways.
Use my language, but shit.
All right. What's up, Mitch?
Oh, nothing much. It was great to hear. Just so much information goes by, and I was going to ask about that. And that sounds great, just from what I derived, allowance, from listening to Lisa, just allowance. There's a Taoist saying, and it goes, the master does nothing and leaves nothing undone, and it's just more of a being rather than a doing altogether, or whatever the group intention will be. But I called to tell a story about, what I've went through over the past, a couple years or so. I lost my house instead of standing up. I just bowed out. I owned a home with a couple other people, and it was pretty overwhelming to me. I really, I owned a house with 2 other people, and I was familiar, with all this, not conspiracy, with all this truth information, yet I really didn't know how to convey it to my partners, so we lost the house to Bank of America. And at first it was like, I put a lot of work into the house. I lost my inheritance, which sounds like a little trust fund baby. I lost my inheritance, but, it was really all I had, and I lost it. And I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the house. I remodeled it for 4 years, and then 6 years after that, I lost it. And there was a lot of blame. I was blaming my mom and her partner for losing the place. And once it finally went through, it was, you know, I was packing up my stuff, and I just realized that, you know, none of the stuff that I was packing up made my life any better or any worse. And then once I got into the new house, which I rent, I forgot. Within a couple of weeks, I moved into a brand new, beautiful house, and then shortly after, I got married. And my wife's parents gave us a house, and it was just kind of really the polarity type of thing, you know, that we're talking about. Because once we received the house, then we kind of were having to submit to her parents' will. So it was like, you know, it kind of reminds me of another Taoist story. There's that story about the guy, and he's got a horse, and he's plowing his field, and the horse breaks away, and his neighbors come by and say, "Oh, we heard your horse broke away," and he says, "Yeah, good luck, bad luck, who knows." The horse comes back with a group of horses, and then the next day his son is training one of the horses, falls off the horse, breaks his arm, and the neighbors come by and say, "Oh, we heard your son broke his arm," and he says, "Yeah, bad luck, good luck, who knows." And then shortly after, a war comes to their country, and his son doesn't have to go, and he says, "Bad luck, good luck, who knows?" And just kind of being caught in that, you know, polarity consciousness. It's like people think, you know, if I won the lottery, everything would be great. If the RV went through, everything would be great. You'd be the same exact person. I'm the same exact person I was then. I was happy then, and I'm happy now, you know, and I lost everything. You know, it's like no big deal, really.
Nice
observation. All too familiar of a story. You know, Mitch, I mean, I lost a house too. The exact same thing happened to me. And, you know, part of the human condition is our mind creates scenarios that we either think is going to bring great happiness or great sadness. You know, I love the example of the lottery, you know, because there's, you know, documented stories about, you know, all sorts of different people winning the lottery, all of a sudden becoming mega multimillionaires, and they talk about the euphoria wearing off. I think the average is 2 weeks, because our minds create these fairy tale scenarios in our heads that, you know, lead us to believe that some circumstance or experience is going to change or alter our state of being on some monumental level, and that's absolutely not the case. You know, and so sometimes it takes those circumstances in life to teach us those lessons, but what valuable lessons they are once you learn them. Because we all, everybody listening to this call, everybody in the chat room, we all have the ability inside of ourselves right now in this moment, because that's all there is, to feel awesome, to be awesome, to feel great, to be grateful for every single thing in our life. It doesn't take something happening or some event to bring us to that level. That's a choice, and it's a choice that we have in every moment. And when you decide in every moment that I'm going to feel good no matter what happens around me, you have all the power to create your reality in an instant. And talk about an amazing realization, and one that a lot of people have had on many different, based on many different experiences. But we, you know, for me, that was a big one as well. So kudos to you for working through it, and learning that, and a great story and a great illustration for people that maybe haven't had that experience yet. So, Mitch, you're awesome, man. You keep calling in.
You are too. And you got those Red Bull wings today, Brian. Did you really have some Red Bulls, dude?
No, dude, I didn't have any Red Bulls.
Because you read that thing. That was like an infomercial, dude. You just went over that last bit of information. That was awesome. Awesome reading. You guys, thanks for having me on. And can you repeat again once more what the information is on that meditation, when it'll be up and where to look for it?
You can find a post so far on the 5D Media Network Facebook page with a link. If you go to our Blog Talk channel, the 5D Media Network channel, it'll be under the description for the show called The Remembering, because it'll be on immediately after that. And where else can you find it? But Brian will put a blog post out about it. There you go.
I'll put it on American Kabuki too. We'll be up on Removing the Shackles. We'll put it everywhere.
Cool.
Awesome.
Right on. Well, thanks, you guys.
So
I feel like
Friday night
Legos with you.
Yep. You too, Mitch.
All right.
Thanks, Mitch.
Bye, Lisa.
Okay. Bye-bye. I'll try area code 661 again. Area code 661. Nope. Okay. We have area code 908. Hello, 908?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Lisa.
Hi.
Hey, 908.
How are you?
I'm very
Yeah.
good. Who's it?
Yeah, this is Bill Gatz.
Oh,
Can
hey,
you
Bill.
hear me? Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Bill Gates.
Yeah, I
We're
wish.
good. We're good,
Yeah.
Bill. How you doing?
Good. You guys are the best, actually. You know, I listen to you all the time. I've been listening since late December, and I know that you guys have changed. There's a few guys that have been replaced. Santos Bonacci and that last post was great when it talked about the Cestui Trust and the Superior Trust, which is the OPPT Trust.
Uh-huh.
And
that was the first show that we did with Santos on this subject.
Yeah. When was that?
That was January.
January 8th, maybe.
Bob,
or...
you were on. When was it?
It was in January.
I was on that show.
Maybe the second week in January.
Yeah, Bob, you were on there, and you really went over the Cestui Trust and the OPP Trust, creating a Superior Trust. That was really great. It just came out. It was reposted, I guess.
Oh, yeah, that was. It seems so long ago. It was.
It was a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it was in January, second week in January. I think we did that show.
I
was on
that.
Freedom Reigns. Yeah.
Yep. I called in and was a caller on that show. That's kind of where it all started. Crazy. Many months ago.
Yeah, but it was real informative, and it brought you back to 1302 and the Papal Bulls and the Papal Bulls and the Cestui Trust and what the OPPT did, and where it brought us today. And here's my comment, and what I wanted to say was that I got a mortgage with Wells Fargo, alleged mortgage with Wells Fargo. And I haven't paid it for like 7 months. So I sent them courtesy notices. I sent them invoices to Jessica Weisenberg and John Stumpf, the CEO. Jessica Weisenberg is an agent. John Stumpf is the CEO. And they sent me frivolous paperwork in reference to my questions about the funding of the loan and also a rebuttal to the OPPT. Then they transferred it to an attorney firm who said they were going to start foreclosure proceedings, and this is after 7 months. So I invoiced them, Jessica Weisenberg, and also John Stumpf. And so what I'm now thinking about doing, because I really don't want to become homeless, I really don't want to lose the condo that I have. What I'm thinking about doing is paying the alleged back payments, which is about $3,000, and making it on a conditional acceptance, and inform the attorney firm that they're acting criminally. Because I really don't know the foreclosure process, and I don't trust the judges in the process. So what I'm thinking about doing is making it like a conditional acceptance. Like, okay, I'll pay the $3,000 if you can cash the check and you can send it to Wells Fargo. But you have to acknowledge that, first of all, you're acting criminally against the law, and that you understand that the bank charters have been canceled, and you understand that the government charters have been canceled. And if you cash the check, well, then you're agreeing to this, like a conditional acceptance. I'll pay the money, and you accept the fact that you're operating in a criminal capacity, and present that to the principal of the law firm. I understand the girls that are handling the file, they're really not aware, and they're innocent in terms of just working their job. I'm thinking about maybe having a sit-down meeting with them and give them the paradigm report, give them...
Well, what are you hoping to achieve with this tactic?
What's that?
So, I'm just asking what you're hoping to achieve with this tactic. I don't think you're going to find that they will put anything in writing to admit fault on their part.
No.
You're not going to get it in writing.
Legally, it's a death sentence. In our country, the penalty of treason carries a death sentence. So they're not going to put anything like that in writing. What you can do, and I can tell you what my uncle has done, is he went to a collection agency. He says, look, I've been sending them invoices for the last couple months. They're not doing it. They're not paying. And the collection agency took the case. And they will report to all the credit agencies, freeze their bank account, and garnish their paycheck if need be.
Are you talking like about the CEO as well as the agent?
Mm-hmm.
Whoever you've invoiced.
Whoever it is you've invoiced. And at this point, they owe him far more than
I know,
they ever...
It's the same thing here.
You know? And when you have that all that paperwork in a court of law, says, all right, look, this is how much they say I owe. Here is how much they owe. Here's the paperwork. But it's all up to you. I mean, you have to choose. You have to choose yourself what you feel comfortable doing.
I don't understand the foreclosure process, and I don't really want to leave it up to a judge to make a determination, because I understand that the judges are part of the system of the banks.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, as long as you're...
They cash the check. If they cash the check, and it would be in writing, that they would understand that they are operating against the UCC
They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They're not going to give you any... No, they're not going to give you. They're not going to give you anything in writing saying that they're at any fault whatsoever.
No, well, I'm going to give them something in writing.
It sounded like.
But if you're putting them in a situation where by accepting the check they're admitting what you've
exactly.
They're not
exactly. They're accepting
the
check, and they're admitting that the law has changed, and they're operating under. Under and in a criminal capacity. Yeah, okay, well, they may resist that, but it will bring it to their awareness. I don't know if the law firm knows. They should know the UCC law.
I mean,
I know they're aiding and abetting a foreclosed entity. I know that.
Here's the thing. Essentially, what you're talking about doing is consenting to paying fraudulent debt. Now, I cannot, nor will I ever give anybody legal or financial advice. Conditionally?
Conditionally, yeah. Under the conditions that, and I'll give them the UCC documents. I mean, I've gone to the Washington Registry, the D.C. online records, and I've pulled back out the OPPT filings that Heather did, which states bank charters have been canceled and government charters have been canceled, and all debts have been erased as of March 18th, and the other date too.
Here's my question to you, my man. Why can't you do all those things without giving them any money? Or, excuse me, without giving them any Federal Reserve notes or currency?
Well,
why can't you
I
just
really don't.
that
At this point, I don't understand the foreclosure process and how, like, for example, so they gave me a choice. You can either reinstate this account for $3,000, or you can $3,500, or you can pay the full amount, which is $43,000. And here's the thing that came up to me in my mind was, if I resist them and don't pay the $3,000, and then I'll pay the $43,000, and I can do that too. I have the money to do that. The problem with that is, after the first mortgage is resolved, there's a second mortgage on the property for about another 40.
This is what I would suggest for you to do. If you wanted to do something like that, I would not send them a check. Put it in an escrow account.
Okay.
Okay, put it in an escrow account and say, here, I've been paying the mortgage, right? You will not have access to it until you answer these questions.
Good.
As long as you're paying into that escrow account, right, they cannot call your mortgage delinquent.
Excellent idea. And we're down to our last couple of minutes, so we might want to pull the rest of this chat offline.
My only comment at this point is that unless you completely let go of the outcome, you're really limiting your course of action. And I understand you don't want to end up homeless, and I completely get that.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I have two boys. One is 21 and one is 18. And in my mind, it doesn't seem to help me or them if I'm homeless.
I agree with you completely.
Yeah, so that's why I'm looking for some sort of conditional acceptance from them. If they cash the check, and they are.
Well, I agree with Bob.
Now legally bound to
put it into an escrow account.
Either prove that the OPPT filings are false, or they're acting criminally. One or the other. Either one or the other.
If they can't move forward without claiming your account in...
If they want to cash the check, fine. That's fine. But if they don't prove that their client, Wells Fargo, has not answered my specific questions, which is proof of funding and rebuttal of the OPPT filing.
I mean, you could get lucky. You could get a judge. You could get a judge who's playing by the rules.
Criminate it.
But it's a gamble. Anyway, we're down to the last.
Of course it's a gamble. Of course it's a gamble. That's what we're all facing, right? That's what we're all facing as we wait for some proof.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got some proof, but we don't have all the proof. We don't have.
That's based on perception.
I think you've created the situation so that you'll have your own proof.
Yep.
You need to prove it to yourself first, because all the proof is there.
Which is what, Bob?
Lots of proof.
Which is what, Bob? What do I have to prove to myself at this point?
That it's real. You said we don't have all the proof, but we do.
Well, the only way we're going to really feel that it's real is when you go before a judge, and then we're going to have to see about that, right?
Like I said, that's why you've created this situation for yourself.
Okay, so last time I heard Heather, she had said that judges have a list and they have a price schedule.
Yeah. And they're all about to lose their immunity on September 1st.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we're right on the borderline of all this. Okay.
There you go, my man.
I understand
okay,
that.
we're gonna have to let you go there. We're at the last couple seconds, so.
Well, you guys are great. I appreciate it all, and I'm happy to be able to listen to you, and this is great.
Best of luck with you, my man.
Thanks for calling in, Bob. Sorry.
Bye,
Bill. The best. You.
And I have a train going past right at the last few seconds. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Join us tomorrow for the Collective Imagination. That's what I did forget to mention. Tomorrow's show is all about laughter. We are going to have a huge giggle fest tomorrow and release all of our tension in preparation for our meditation event on Friday night, Saturday. So join us then. See you tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Love you. Namaste.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.